one. Let's get to the matter of the heart. So we know that President Bola Tinubu on Monday signed into law a bill establishing the Federal University of Environment and Technology in Rivers State and pledged more support for the Ogoni community. Ogoni town of Tai will host the university. Mr. Bayo Nanuga, the spokesperson of the president, said in the statement, and during the signing ceremony at the State House, President Tinubu said the establishment of the university would further empower Ogoni citizens and provide more opportunities for participation and development. Of course, we do know, a few days before then, President Tinubu had convened a closed-door meeting with key stakeholders from Rivers State, including Governor of the state, Siminalayi Fubara, the former Governor, Minister of the FCT, Yensam Wike, and representatives of Ogoni leaders to address pressing issues surrounding the Niger Delta cleanup project and escalating political tensions in the state. Amidst all of these are critical issues relating to the issues generated by the spill and the environmental disaster. Tonight, I'm being joined by a public policy advocate and a former DG of NEMASA, Dr. Dakuku Peterside. He's live for us in our studio. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you, Shane.
You are one of the children that comes from the oil-rich Niger Delta. And you perhaps have tasted a water that is unclean, eating from fruits that have been grown out of community, that oil has bastardized the agrarian society, fishes that have been killed by oil spill. How do you feel? Because I know you are from Okpobo. And Okpobo and Ogoni, they share borders. Their communities, they are close to each other. And perhaps there are those who will say, whatever happened to Ogoni, you even experience worse in Okpobo and adjoining communities. As a son of the soil, how do you feel tonight talking about the situation in an oil-rich Niger Delta, but then has become so destitute?
Thank you very much, Shane. The story of the Ogonis is the story of the Niger Delta people. And so Ogoni is a symbol of what is going on in the Niger Delta. And the challenge for me is that it is not only in the Niger Delta. Wherever you find extractive industries, you are likely going to experience significant political, economic, and environmental challenges. And that is what we're seeing play out in Ogoni. You also see that play out in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Whether it's from the economic perspective, you see that there is poverty versus wealth. And so in the midst of wealth, the local communities where these extractive industries operate, you could feel poverty. Now, whether it's in the political life, you could also see that their local institutions are usually bastardized. Whether it's in the environmental life, you could see a lot of pollution. You can see a lot of loss of biodiversity. You can see degradation of their environment. So the challenges are common. But Ogoni is peculiar for several reasons. And that is why, by 1990, Ogoni leaders organized themselves under the umbrella of the Movement of Survival of Ogoni People, MOSOP, and started agitation for environmental justice. And that led to what is now known as the Ogoni Bill of Rights. Now, aside from the Ogoni Bill of Rights, and when they started agitation, of course, it culminated in the death of Ken Saruwa and other Ogoni leaders. Then, after series of agitation, well-structured agitation, the Nigerian government commissioned a detailed report of the Ogoni environment that gave rise to the UNEP report. UNEP is an agency, it's an agency of the United Nations that gave rise to the UNEP report in 2011. Then government created, a platform. I don't want to say an agency of government because it's not backed by law. There's an edict backing it, created HYPRE to execute the recommendations of the UNEP report. That is exactly where we are in the Ogoni struggle for environmental justice.
But would you say that the death and the blood spilled by the cancer rulers of this world, the sacrifices made on behalf not only for the Ogoni people, but for the rest of every community in the Niger Delta area, do you think it is working in the interest of the Niger Delta people, considering that there's still a lot of devastation going on in those areas?
What I can say is that the sacrifice of Ken Sarowe and other Ogoni leaders and the quest for environmental justice by the Ogonis have elevated the Niger Delta struggle to the global level. And today, if you talk about the deltas of the world, I know for sure, I'm not saying that I guess, that Niger Delta will occupy a prominent place when we talk about environmental restoration in the deltas of the world. So that's one foot forward. Now, the second issue, or the second strand, or second dimension is, look, is government committed? And the oil industry, are they committed to the cleaning up of Ogoniland and the entire Niger Delta? That, again, is another issue. And so we must put all these issues in context for us to, like I always say, if you want to examine a child, you ask first, what is your curriculum? And what is the learning objective? What is the course outline? It is in that context that you examine a child. So if you want to examine, you must look at the issues holistically to know whether the issues of the Niger Delta are being attended to, whether the issues of Ogoni cleanup are being attended to. We must look at the UNEP report. For me, it is the ground norm today when you talk about the cleaning of contaminated sites, when you talk about cleaning of polluted sites in the Niger Delta. Ogoni, incidentally, is the reference point.
Interestingly, when you hear IPREP and those in the National Assembly trying to probe the $360 million and some of the allegations of corruption for the monies that are meant to do the remediation work in that land, it also makes the heart bleed. But first and foremost, you also cannot forget in 2016 the role played by the Buhari government, led by the then Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, literally spent a lot of time in the Niger Delta, meeting leaders, going around the land, and perhaps there are a lot of people who will say that that's even the immediate past efforts to clean up the land. Do you think that Yemi Osinbajo and that process on the effort, do you think it's yielded any kind of effort, considering the percentage of remediation work that has gone on?
It yielded a lot of effort. So it's not just about Yemi Osinbajo, Professor Yemi Osinbajo acknowledge his effort and his contributions. I think the way to start is that when former President Buhari was campaigning, he made it very clear, he had meetings with Ogoni leaders, he made it clear that he's committed to the implementation of the UNEP report, and some credit must be given to him that he initiated the implementation of the report. President Goodluck Jonathan received the report in 2011, as you are aware, but it was President Muhammadu Buhari, perhaps with the effort of Ogoni leaders, and he must acknowledge that, the effort of Ogoni leaders and the intervention of the then Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, that led to the takeoff of the implementation of the UNEP report. Now, again, in implementing the UNEP report, government created an institution called the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, HYPREP, which is under the Federal Ministry of Environment. It is a special purpose vehicle. It's not a creation of the law. A government made government created that vehicle to implement the report. Now, the report made it clear that government should create 3 different institutions. The first one is the Ogoni Environmental Fund Authority. The second one is the Center for Excellence in Environmental Remediation. The third is the Integrated Contaminated Soil Management Center. Now, these 3 institutions have been created, but again, with a lot of modifications. So I think that we've taken off. Have we achieved all the results we intend to achieve, what we set out to achieve? The answer is no. One thing that is clear, and it's important to say this, even the UNEP report acknowledged the fact that cleaning Ogoni is one of the most impacted sites in the world. They made it very clear. And that at the time, it will be the site that its cleaning will take the longest period. The recommendation is that the cleaning of Ogoni land will take between 25 and 30 years.
30 years.
And so if UNEP recommended, recommended that the cleaning of Ogoni, then we don't expect that they would have accomplished all of that in 5 years or maximum 6 years. Remediation is not a light switch where you turn off and turn on. No, it's process driven.
Let me then ask you, with what, and there are those who say, for whatever is what, the reason why the Ogoni conversation is coming up right now is because of the possible and the proposed resumption of oil exploration in that land. And what do you think are the reactions of the Ogoni people to that effort?
If I must be sincere to you, it will be premature to resume oil exploration in Ogoni land. What I think that the government has also chosen is to do further consultations. You need to do and build trust. Further consultations, build trust, and show genuine commitment to real environmental governance. The challenge all along has been the opaque nature of oil exploration, not just in Ogoni land, in the entire Niger Delta. And the fact that the way benefits derivable from oil exploration is distributed to the exclusion of the people of the Niger Delta, that is the big question mark. And until we address that in a transparent manner, then we will not make much progress.
I mean, and you look at what is going on, the fact that the people, the leaders in Ogoni land are divided, and along political or along ideological or the narratives that have divided them. How does this make you feel? What do you make of that division that we see presently within the leadership of the Ogoni people?
It is not unusual. Like I always said, wherever you have extractive industries, you have that what I now like to call divide and rule tactics used by those who are doing the extraction. It is very common in all places where you have extractive industry going on. So it's not peculiar to Ogoni, but what matters is the interest of the majority of the people. And it's the same across the Niger Delta, where even the oil industry has been fingered, in this process of dividing the people along different lines. There are usually sub-ethnicities, there are different economic interests, there are different social considerations, there are a lot of political considerations. Now, you see, and so it's not peculiar to the Ogonis alone, and it's not an excuse for us to abdicate the responsibility of cleaning Ogoni land, restoring the environment of Ogoni land, providing social amenities. It's not an excuse at all.
Kana, Gokana, Tai, and Eleme, these are four local governments constituting the Ogoni land.
Yes.
And if you look at OML 11 and 51, these are fundamental exploration field in that area. And some of the people in the land have said, look, we need consultation. And the engagement has to be on another level. You cannot just go into that land and start exploring oil at this age and time.
Very true.
What would you say the President Tinubu government should be doing? Because one thing that is fundamental, the NSA what is in that meeting, it means that it is not only economic issues, it's not only environmental issues, it's not only political issues, it's also of a security dimension. How do you think, you are a son of the soil, how do you think is best for this government to handle the matter such that trust, like you said, can be built?
All right. We've outlined what we think government should do. Now, government has shown good faith. And they're going to clean up. And if you look at the UNEP report, there are 4 dimensions recommended by that report. The first one is bioremediation. The second is build capacity of the people, so that they can take responsibility for the cleanup of Ogoni land going forward. The third, again, is sustainable livelihood. Provide alternative livelihood for the people of Ogoni, because you have polluted their rivers, you have degraded their land, you have denied them means of economic livelihood. Provide alternative means. And you've done this over a period of 50 years. So provide them alternative means of livelihood. Then the last one, which is critical, put in place a transparent governance a management system for the exploration and exploitation of oil resources to the benefit of the locals, of the Ogoni people, or the Niger Delta people, as the case may be. That nobody is talking about that part of the report, recommendations of the report. That, transparent governance and management system for the oil resources.
Do you think that the state governor should be the one pushing that, or the Ogoni leaders?
Both the Ogoni leaders, the state government, and the federal government of Nigeria. And so we have focused too much on remediation. And I want to say, I've followed for some time what's going on with the remediation effort. I am satisfied that it's progressing at pace. It may be slow, but a lot of significant achievements have been made. Now, what is called the simple contaminated sites have been remediated. Now, the high prep is at the medium complex sites, and the next will be at the high complex sites. Recall that UNEP did a study of 69 sites. Now, the first 20 sites have been attended to. These are simple sites. Now, having talked about remediation, high prep also has started attending to the livelihood, providing alternative livelihood. Now, whether putting infrastructure in place, power, giving the people skill, pilots have been trained, scholarships have been given. At the last count, 300 scholarships have been given out. Some of Ogoni sons have been sent to different countries to learn one skill or the other. Providing alternative means haven't denied them their land, haven't denied them resources coming from their land and their waters, including air pollution. Now, this issue of governance, accountability is not being attended to. It's one that nobody is paying attention to. That now government need to revisit the framework for oil exploration. So apart from engagement of Ogonis to build trust, can we put in place, a governance system that is transparent, that, protects the interest of all, so that benefits will be distributed equally and equitably, not necessarily equally, but equitably. The Ogonis can benefit, the Niger Delta people can benefit, and all those who bear oil, could also benefit. Now, for as long as we don't provide a transparent resource management framework in place, the agitation, the conflict, the insecurity will persist. Now, stakeholder engagement is critical. Cleaning up the environment is another. But importantly, let's put a new framework in place. Have we made progress from 1990 to date? We've made progress, but is it adequate? No, it's not sufficient.
You look at 1958 and 1995. These are critical days or years in the Ogoni land. The discovery and exploration of oil, shell being a major front in the exploration, and you can hold them accountable because they're a major front, and the spills have been linked also largely to that company. And you look at 1995, where sorrow, tears and blood rain in Ogoni land because of the leaders of Ogoni land and how the military leaders treated them. But if you look at it going forward, the governor, the president has said there will be a university to be instituted or located in Tai. That is an initiative. It's an effort from this government that we show the people of Ogoni land that we mean well. But beyond that is also the issue of justice. What would you say would be an effort that will speak justice to the Ogoni people, especially for what the likes of Ken Saro-Wiwa has faced over what has become an injustice served on the people of that place?
Now, you talked about establishing university in Ogoni land. Universities have been established in all parts of the country. Were those universities established to address environmental injustice? Not necessarily. And so establishing a university in Ogoni land is not the same as addressing environmental injustice and other form of injustices that the people of Ogoni have suffered. Because we have universities all over the place. So it's only fair that the universities establish that. But aside from that, recall that also the UNEP report recommended the setting up of an institution, the Center for Excellence in Environmental Restoration, which has been established in Bori, actually between Bori and Uyakara. Now, within that center, the Center for Environmental Excellence, Excellence in Environmental Restoration, you also have the Integrated Contaminated Soil Management Center. And it is designed as a will and spoke, where there are also integrated contaminated soil management center in different locations, wherever you have contaminated soil. So for me, to address the injustice the Ogonis have suffered, there are three critical things. The first, can we revisit the Ogoni Bill of Rights? For me, that's the most important thing. If we address the Ogoni Bill of Rights, we have addressed the injustices suffered by the Ogoni people.
How possible is that?
It is very possible.
How visible?
It is visible.
Practically speaking.
It is practical.
Can this government make it happen?
The government can and should. If they want to be fair to the people of Ogoni, can we revisit the Ogoni Bill of Rights? And as we visit the Ogoni Bill of Rights, it simply means we are visiting the injustices meted out to the people of the Niger Delta over a period of nearly 100 years. Not just from 1958.
Okay. It's interesting. I'm hoping that the leaders of Ogoni land, the leaders in the country and Rivers State will take action. By the way, are you still a member of APC?
I thought that this conversation
yes, it is about, because I'm closing the conversation.
It's about the cleanup in Ogoni land.
It is actually.
And what I like to do is that I wear multiple hats and multiple caps. Okay. So when I am wearing the multiple cap of a public analyst, I focus on that. When I'm wearing the cap of a politician, I focus on that. For this evening, I am focusing on the cap
DP
of a public analyst.
DP, are you from Rivers State?
I am from Rivers State. There's nothing contentious.
Are you an Opobo man?
I'm an Opobo man. There's nothing contentious.
Did you run for governor in Rivers State?
That is a different conversation. I didn't run for governorship in the last election.
Are you a member of the APC?
That's a different conversation.
Are you a friend to Rotimi Amechi?
I am a friend to Rotimi Amechi.
Are you on the side of Nyesom Wike?
I am not on the side of Nyesom Wike.
Are you a supporter of Fubara?
I am also not in his party.
Will you be running for governor again?
That's a different conversation.
Would you?
That's a different conversation.
Would you like to be governor?
That's a different conversation. I said so. Sheon, I made it very clear that today I am wearing the cap of a public analyst. I'm not wearing the cap of a politician or a farmer.
We ended the conversation.
I'm not a farmer. I'm also a consultant.
And a fisherman.
And a fisherman. And so today I'm not wearing the cap of a fisherman. I'm not wearing the cap of a farmer. I'm also not wearing the cap of a politician.
Let me touch on the cap as a statesman.
He talked about corruption.
Yeah.
In the Ogoni cleanup. I think that is very fair to the high prep project. The reason is simple. Now, recall that high prep was set up with a board of trustees, set up with a governing council. Now, there is a regulator in the country, NOSTRA, established by an act of parliament that oversights, they regulate the cleaning up of contaminated sites, pollution in the country, oil polluted sites in the country. In addition, and so there are multiple layers of oversight of what high prep is doing. Now, if you know members of the board of trustees, it used to be headed by Dr. Wale Edu, who is now a finance minister. I'm sure that you can deny him everything, but not his integrity. Now, there's also a governing council. Now, if you look at these multiple layers, are you saying that they will all be asleep while resources meant for the cleanup of Ogoni land is misappropriated? Not likely. Not likely. And you see, so I don't think I want us to throw away the baby and the bathwater.
All right. Yeah.
What I think, we should try and verify the claims by high prep. And I try to do that on my own. When high prep said, listen, we have cleaned up 20 of the 69 sites recommended by UNEP. I've taken my time to visit a number of those sites. I can't say I visited. Recall that.
Did you see any active evidence of that claim? I
saw. Now, recall that my initial background is sciences. Before I went on to do management, do a PhD in organizational behavior and all of that. So, I also wear the cap of a scientist. Like I've always said, remediation is not a light switch. Turn off and turn on. It's been slow, and I acknowledge that. Happily, I want to acknowledge that in the past 1 year, it's gained a lot of traction. You know, I don't know what changed. What I suspect is that the current leadership may be more proactive. And maybe perhaps they're getting adequate support from the Honorable Minister of Environment, who is the supervisory minister. And maybe the issue of funding. Recall that they don't get funding from federal budget. It is from the oil and gas companies and other stakeholders that contribute. Now these funds are, you know, are in custody of the Board of Trustees
We need to go.
managed by the Governing Council.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Dakuku Peterside, who is wearing the hat of
a public analyst, not a politician.
He's Rotimi Amechi's man. He says he's not a Yinson Wike's man. He's also a Fubara's man.
I didn't say that. I said I'm not in the same party
with them.
With governor.
But you're not against him.
Fubara.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Because he's governor of my state anyway. And whoever is governor per time. When Nyesom Wike was governor, recall that I was doing open letters to him consistently, giving my advice. I did that consistently over time. And if Governor Fubara seek my advice, of course I'm willing to offer that advice.
Thank you so much.
Like many governors. Of course you know. And I've always said so, unofficially, you know, I'm addressing 5 governors.
All right. Thank you so much indeed.
Whoever seeks my help.
Dr. Dakuku Peterside, thank you so much.